One day, this boy's house caught fire. It turned out that this boy's name was Koshi. Since then, Koshi became homeless and penniless. At this moment, Koshi was very hungry. He was so hungry that he couldn't stand up. Suddenly, a girl appeared and helped Koshi. She asked, "What do you want to eat?" But Koshi was only paying attention to her underwear. After that, the girl took Koshi home and gave him a delicious meal. This made Koshi very happy. Then, she told Koshi to take a bath after eating. She noticed there was food stuck on Koshi's cheek. So, she helped Koshi by removing it with her lips. This embarrassed him, and he ran into the bathroom. But, when he entered the bathroom, Koshi saw 3 other girls taking a bath. This made him so embarrassed that he ran out. But, Koshi accidentally bumped into another girl. This caused Koshi and the girl to fall over. And he accidentally saw the girl's underwear. This surprised the other girls. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl fainted. At this moment, they told Koshi, "This place is the goddess dormitory." And the girl who helped Koshi was named Minoru. She is a 4th-year student. Next was Kiryu, a 2nd-year student. Then, there were Frey and Serenay. So, Koshi told them about his situation. They realized that he was homeless and penniless. This made them feel sorry for Koshi. Koshi said that he needed to work to continue attending school. So, Minoru asked Koshi, "Do you want to be the dorm mother?" It turned out that by being the dorm mother here, he would get free food and lodging. This made Koshi very happy. Suddenly, they became worried about Atenna. It turned out that Atenna was the girl Koshi had made faint. When she found out Koshi was going to be the dorm mother here, Atenna immediately refused, because she couldn't accept a man being the dorm mother. And she decided to leave. Koshi asked why Atenna reacted that way. It turned out Atenna was from a matriarchal family. Minoru explained that in the past, the girls in this dormitory would often bring their boyfriends to their rooms. Atenna accidentally saw this, which caused her to have a nosebleed and faint. Since then, Atenna has harbored a deep hatred for men. Because when she sees men, she gets a nosebleed. This made Koshi feel very guilty. Because he couldn't rob someone else's house. So, Koshi immediately ran after Atenna. But, as soon as Atenna heard Koshi's voice, she ran away. At this moment, Koshi caught up to Atenna. He said he had turned down the dorm mother job. So, Atenna could feel at ease and return home. And it would be really hard if she didn't have a home to return to. On the way back, Atenna remembered that Koshi didn't have a home. But, he still wanted to protect her. At that moment, Koshi was sitting in the park. He felt very cold. But, Koshi felt good knowing Atenna didn't have to endure this. Then, Koshi fainted. Unexpectedly, Atenna came to find him. She felt she had been selfish toward Koshi. So, Atenna carried Koshi back to the dormitory. When Koshi woke up, he felt very warm and smelled something nice. Accidentally, Koshi touched Atenna's chest, which caused her to have a nosebleed. So, Koshi had to carry Atenna back to the dormitory. This made everyone very happy. Because Koshi had returned, Koshi realized that Atenna had accepted him as the dorm mother. So, he promised to do his best in the role. The next morning, Koshi started his job. But, he realized that the dormitory was too dirty. Only Atenna's room was clean. So, he started cleaning Minoru's room first. When Minoru stepped out, it made Koshi blush, because she was only wearing a shirt. Minoru explained that she was doing an experiment. So, she dressed like that for convenience. This made Koshi feel embarrassed. So, he decided to come back and clean after Minoru had dressed. Suddenly, a hand pulled Koshi into a room. It turned out that Frey wanted to make Koshi wear cosplay outfits. Because this was also part of the dorm mother's job. She loved making cosplay outfits and dressing people up. Anyone who had the right figure, Frey would make them try on clothes. Koshi realized this was one of Frey's bad habits. Suddenly, Frey handed him a measuring tape. And she asked Koshi to measure her 3 sizes for her. Frey said that this was also part of his job. While measuring, Koshi fell, causing Frey to fall on top of him. Suddenly, Minoru opened the door and told them to run immediately. It turned out that her experiment had failed, releasing toxic gas throughout the dormitory. At this moment, Koshi scolded them, because what they were doing was affecting others. So, they apologized to Koshi. This made Koshi feel like he might have been too harsh. So, he ran off. But, The outfit he was wearing drew everyone's attention. At this moment, Minoru and Frey had caught a cold. Luckily, Koshi came back and brought them a blanket. It turned out that, thanks to his days living on the streets, Koshi had gained experience in asking for things. This made Minoru and Frey very happy. And they hugged Koshi, because they felt he was a responsible man. Accidentally, Atenna returned and saw them hugging Koshi, which caused her to have a nosebleed and faint. At this moment, Koshi was sleeping soundly in his own room. Suddenly, Koshi heard a noise from the floor above. Kiryu fell into Koshi's room and landed on his face. Koshi asked her what had happened, and he saw Kiryu blushing, trying to hide a manga. Kiryu explained that her family owned a dojo. But, ever since she read this manga, she couldn't believe there was such a beautiful world like that. And Kiryu started imagining the romance from the manga with Koshi, which made her so embarrassed that she punched through the wall. So, Koshi realized why the ceiling had a hole in it. Because whenever Kiryu read manga, she would throw punches out of habit. Suddenly, Kiryu asked Koshi if she could sleep with him for one night. Koshi felt embarrassed and thought this was inappropriate. But, Kiryu said she was used to sleeping with boys. At this moment, Kiryu couldn't sleep. So, she wanted to chat with Koshi for a bit. Because seeing him reminded her of her younger siblings at home. Suddenly, Kiryu tackled Koshi, which made him feel a lot of pain. Kiryu realized she had been too rough. So, she quickly apologized to Koshi. But, Koshi said he was fine. However, since everyone in the dormitory were beautiful girls, and he was the only boy, Koshi wanted Kiryu to be aware of that. So, Koshi ran upstairs to Kiryu's room. And he gave up his room to Kiryu. At this moment, Kiryu still couldn't sleep, because this was the first time someone had called her beautiful. Kiryu felt like this was something out of a manga, which made her feel embarrassed. While Koshi was sleeping, suddenly, Sarah-Nay came into the room looking for Kiryu, which surprised her, because the person sleeping there was Koshi. Sarah-Nay noticed the hole in the floor. She realized that Kiryu had done something silly again. Suddenly, Sarah-Nay told Koshi to become her servant, and in return, she would help him fix the floor using moon technology. This left Koshi confused, but he agreed. So, Sarah-Nay moved closer and kissed Koshi. It seems they have completed the contract. When Koshi opened his eyes, he saw her looking like a goddess. The next morning, Koshi woke up and saw that the floor had been repaired like new, which made Kiryu very happy. Koshi realized that Sarah-Nay had done it. After that, Koshi started cooking breakfast for everyone, which surprised everyone, because they didn't know Koshi could cook. So, Sarah-Nay tasted it, making Koshi remember the kiss from the night before. At this moment, everyone was enjoying Koshi's food, which made them very happy and want to reward Koshi. Atenna quickly realized that everyone was close to Koshi. So, she thought Koshi must have done something suspicious to them. Suddenly, everyone suggested that Koshi should keep cooking. And they also agreed to let Koshi use their funds. Meanwhile, Atenna was still suspicious of Koshi, because she didn't believe he could win everyone's trust so easily. So, Atenna decided to go shopping with Koshi to cook dinner. But, Atenna had a fear of men. So, she had to wear a mask while following Koshi. However, she still ended up coming into contact with men, causing Atenna to have a nosebleed. Finally, they had finished buying the ingredients. At this moment, Koshi felt that Atenna was very strong, because she dared to face her fears. And earlier, she had gone to the park to bring Koshi back, which made Koshi very happy. But, Atenna felt that Koshi was the one who helped her open up more. Atenna realized this was how he won everyone's trust. So, she ran off. Accidentally, Atenna bumped into two men, and she thought she would have a nosebleed again. So, Koshi immediately ran to hug Atenna, and he took her away. At this moment, Atenna led Koshi into the net cafe she often visited. Koshi apologized for hugging her, but Atenna was not angry with him. Suddenly, Atenna told Koshi to call her big sister, which surprised Koshi. Seeing Atenna pleading with him, Koshi called her big sister, which delighted Atenna, because it was the first time she felt like she had a little brother. Atenna thanked Koshi for protecting her. So, she promised to protect Koshi in return. Accidentally, Atenna's skirt slipped down. She tugged at it but couldn't pull it up, and she fell on top of Koshi. This caused her to have another nosebleed and faint. By the afternoon, Atenna understood why Koshi had gained everyone's trust. After that, he cooked dinner for them, which made them very happy. So, they wanted to feed Koshi, which made Atenna very angry. So, she stopped them, because from now on, she had become Koshi's big sister. This delighted everyone, so, they also wanted Koshi to call them big sister. The next morning, Minoru handed her underwear to Koshi to wash, which made Koshi feel embarrassed. Koshi reminded himself that this was part of his duties as a dorm mother. So, he had to try to complete the task. At this moment, Koshi wanted to go back to school, because he had to quit school ever since his house burned down. So, he didn't know how to tell everyone. At this time, Koshi finished preparing breakfast, so, he called Atenna to wake her up. But, she insisted that Koshi call her big sister, which embarrassed Koshi, while Atenna felt very happy. But, she was still scared when touching Koshi. Suddenly, Frey also woke up. She thought Koshi liked to watch girls dress like Atenna. So, she said she would wear a nightgown for him to see. But, Atenna immediately stopped Frey, because she wanted to protect Koshi's innocence. At this point, everyone had woken up, and they started to compete over who deserved to be Koshi's big sister. At this moment, Frey had cosplayed Koshi as a girl, which made him feel embarrassed. But, Frey said that a big sister should make her little brother look cuter, because a little brother is like a doll for his big sister. Meanwhile, Minoru said she wanted to try out a new experiment. So, a little brother would be the best test subject. Next was Saranae. However, at this time, Saranae looked more like a pet, while Kiryu wanted Koshi to be her little brother to train in martial arts, almost making Koshi pass out. Atenna felt they were being too much. But, everyone thought Atenna resembled a mother more than a big sister. Accidentally, Koshi had grabbed the sleeve of Atenna's shirt, causing her shirt to slip down, which made her have a nosebleed onto Koshi's face. At this moment, everyone was still fighting over who should take care of Koshi, and he felt really good to have a big sister. Suddenly, Minoru told Koshi some good news, that he would be able to go back to school. This surprised Koshi, because they had sorted out all the enrollment procedures for him. Koshi realized they had faced many difficulties to help him. So, he thanked them and promised to study hard. At this moment, Atenna felt she hadn't done anything for Koshi yet. So, she decided to be a good big sister. The next morning, Koshi was able to go back to school, which made him very happy. Suddenly, Koshi was kicked by a girl. It turned out she was Koshi's best friend named Tsutia. Tsutia scolded Koshi, because he hadn't contacted her when his house burned down, which made Tsutia very worried. So, Tsutia sulked and walked away. Koshi kept explaining to her, but Tsutia wouldn't listen to him. Koshi realized Tsutia was really angry with him, which made him feel guilty. But, he didn't know if he should tell Tsutia about the goddess dormitory. So, he decided to leave out some details to avoid misunderstandings. At lunchtime, Koshi ran after her to talk. However, Tsutia was still angry with Koshi. She didn't want him to touch her. At this moment, Koshi remembered Tsute's condition. She was very sensitive to temperature, especially the temperature from other people's bodies. At this moment, Tsutia remembered her childhood with Koshi. Because Tsute's body was very sensitive to temperature, she couldn't play with her classmates. Suddenly, Koshi invited Tsutia to hang out with him. But, she said she didn't like holding hands with others, because it made her feel hot and uncomfortable. Suddenly, Koshi ran inside. It turned out he wanted to use ice to cool his hands. After that, Koshi was able to touch Tsute's face, which made Tsutia very happy. At this moment, Tsutia felt guilty towards Koshi, because she always said the opposite of what she really thought. Suddenly, Koshi came over and touched Tsute's face. She felt that Koshi's hands were very cold. It turned out that Koshi always brought ice to school with him. This made his lunchbox very cold as well. At this moment, Koshi told Tsutia about the goddess dormitory. But, she didn't believe that Koshi was the dorm mother. So, she told Koshi to take her there. This made Koshi anxious and he tried to stop her. Accidentally, Koshi fell and landed on Tsutia. So, she kicked him away. By the afternoon, Tsutia was still determined to go to the dormitory with Koshi, because it was a girls' dormitory. Tsutia suspected that Koshi was up to something shady. At this moment, Koshi had brought Tsutia back to the dormitory. This surprised Atenna. So, Koshi immediately introduced her as his childhood best friend. This made everyone curious. Frey wanted to change her cosplay. Koshi quickly stopped Frey. He explained that Tsutia would feel uncomfortable when touched by others. However, Koshi accidentally touched Tsutia, so he was kicked by Tsutia. At this moment, everyone realized that Tsutia had feelings for Koshi. Minoru said that she would be a strong rival for Atenna. While everyone was arguing, Tsutia decided to inspect this dormitory. First, Tsutia checked Koshi's room. Tsutie's level of alertness was low. Atenna praised Koshi for keeping the dormitory very clean, and he cooked very well. This raised Tsutie's level of alertness. So, she decided to check everyone's rooms. Next was Minoru's room. This made Koshi anxious, because there was toxic gas in Minoru's room. He quickly closed the door. This made Tsutia feel that this place was dangerous. Next, they went to Frey's room. So, she introduced Tsutia to her new cosplay outfit, and Frey changed clothes for Tsutia. But, Atenna immediately stopped Frey. Koshi realized that the situation seemed off. After that, they went to Atenna's room. Tsutia commented that her room was too ordinary. But, Koshi thought Atenna's room smelled very nice and warm. This made Tsutie's suspicion level rise. Next, they went to Kirya's room. So, Kirya introduced Tsutia to her romantic manga. This lowered Tsutie's level of alertness. But, as Kirya was reading manga, she became embarrassed and punched the wall. This raised Tsutie's level of alertness again. She realized that it was too dangerous here. Suddenly, Sarah-ne gave Tsutia an expired cake to eat. This raised Tsutie's alertness level to the max. Tsutia decided to burn this place down. That night, Minoru wanted to salvage the situation. So, she told Tsutia to stay here for one night. This made Tsutia feel embarrassed. But, she was most suspicious of Atenna. So, Tsutia decided to sleep in Atenna's room. At this moment, Atenna tried to start a conversation with Tsutia. She asked what Koshi was like as a child. But, Tsutia didn't want to answer Atenna. She didn't understand why Koshi had come here to be the dorm mother. And Tsutia asked, "What are you to Koshi?" Suddenly, they heard Koshi screaming from the bathroom. They ran down and saw Koshi lying on top of Kirya. It turned out that Koshi had been soaking in the bathtub when he felt dizzy. By coincidence, Kirya walked in, causing him to fall onto her. This made Tsutia even more suspicious of this dormitory. She noticed Kirya blushing. Tsutia asked, "What are you to Koshi?" They looked at Koshi and blushed. Unable to bear it any longer, Tsutia left. A few days later, Koshi noticed that Atenna and Kirya were acting strangely. Because they were always distracted, Koshi realized they had forgotten lunch. And they had classes until the afternoon. So, they would definitely be very hungry. Frey told Koshi to deliver food to them. But, it was an all-girls school. So, Frey cosplayed Koshi as a girl to help him get into the school. This made Koshi feel embarrassed, because he looked very cute. He kept bumping into girls. Suddenly, he encountered Atenna. This surprised her. She immediately recognized him as Koshi. So, Atenna grabbed Koshi and ran away. Thanks to this, Koshi managed to escape. At that moment, Koshi handed a bento box to Atenna. Atenna realized that he was worried she would be hungry. That's why Koshi disguised himself as a girl to sneak into the school. Suddenly, Koshi noticed that Atenna wasn't having a nosebleed anymore. After that, she led Koshi to look for Kirya. But, Atenna bumped into Kirya, making them get wet. Kirya was also very surprised to see Koshi here. At this point, Koshi planned to go outside so they could change clothes. But, Koshi heard the girls outside searching for him. Atenna said she would protect him. So, he should stay here. But, she warned Koshi not to look. Since Atenna didn't have any clothes, she had to wear Kirya's clothes temporarily. But, Kirya's shirt was too small, causing a button to pop off and hit Koshi in the face. When Atenna came to check on him, she discovered the button had come off, causing her to have a nosebleed and faint. By the afternoon, they returned to the dormitory. Atenna invited everyone to go on a trip together. And she also wanted to invite Tsutia to go with them. This surprised everyone. Suddenly, Sarah-ne ran back to her room. Everyone thought she didn't like traveling. So, Koshi went to Sarah-ne's room to ask her, When he opened the door, he was surprised, because the room was filled with trash. Suddenly, Sarah fell and landed on Koshi. At this moment, Koshi asked why Sarah had so much trash in her room. He told her that if she called him, he would clean it right away. But Sarah said that this wasn't trash. It turned out that it was all equipment for her moon technology. Koshi recalled the night Sarah spent in Kirya's room. So, he asked her if she had gone into Kirya's room that night. She didn't deny it. So, Koshi realized that the kiss wasn't just a dream. At that moment, Koshi asked Sarah about the trip. But Sarah said she would feel uneasy if she left the dormitory and school grounds, because this area was filled with moon energy. Koshi understood the situation clearly. He went back to discuss it with everyone. They decided to find things related to the moon to help Sarah feel at ease about going on the trip. The next morning, Koshi still hadn't thought of anything related to the moon. Suddenly, he saw Sutiya. Koshi noticed that Sutiya looked very alluring. Since it was summer, it was very hot. Koshi took 2 bags of ice and placed them on Sutiya's face. At this moment, Koshi invited Sutiya to travel with everyone. So, Sutiya agreed to go to keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, Frey prepared a Sailor Moon costume for Sarah which made Frey very excited. But Sarah said that cosplaying in public was against decorum. Next, Minoru created a very strong alcohol for Sarah just 1 whiff, and no woman could resist it. But Frey inhaled it, making her uncontrollably drunk and unable to control her actions. When Koshi got home, he saw Kirya teaching Sarah martial arts. She said this martial art could absorb the energy of the universe, including the moon's energy. But Sarah suddenly fell to the ground, because the universe's energy was too overwhelming, and she couldn't handle it. Suddenly, Frey and Minoru cosplayed as Sailor Moon. At that moment, Atenna also returned. She gave Sarah an umbrella. It turned out that the umbrella had a moon design on it. So, Sarah agreed to go on the trip with everyone, making them all very happy. After everyone finished dinner, Koshi returned the jacket to Sarah It turned out that when he entered Sarah room, he found the jacket was torn. So, he repaired and washed the jacket for her. He asked Sarah if she felt more at ease wearing the jacket. Sarah said that this jacket was very important to her. So, she felt very happy. The next morning, they began their trip. At this point, they arrived at a mountain, which disappointed Atenna, because for the trip, she had booked a luxury inn by the beach. But she had mistakenly reserved the wrong inn. So, they had to start their journey here. Although the scenery was very beautiful, Atenna was still disappointed. Suddenly, Koshi spotted a temple. So, he invited Atenna to go up to the temple with him. But when they looked at the temple, it was covered in many talismans, which scared Kirya, because she thought the temple was haunted. She hugged Koshi tightly. This made Sutiya angry and hit him. By evening, they all went to take a hot bath together, while Koshi was very comfortable. Suddenly, Minoru and Frey climbed up to peek at the men's bath, because it was an open-air bath. So, it would be a waste not to peek. Suddenly, they stood up, causing their towels to slip. This made Koshi have a nosebleed and faint. When Koshi woke up, he saw everyone sleeping next to him. So, he couldn't go back to sleep. Suddenly, he noticed Atenna going outside alone, which made Koshi worry. At that moment, Minoru also woke up. It turned out she was also worried about Atenna. So, they set out together to look for Atenna. But it was too dark, which scared Koshi. Minoru held Koshi's hand and led him. He felt that Minoru was a reliable person. However, Koshi sensed that Minoru was also scared. So, he said, "I will protect you." But Minoru replied that it was her responsibility to protect him. This made Koshi embarrassed, and he ran away. Suddenly, he encountered Atenna. It turned out she was looking for the bathroom. But now she didn't even know where she was. Just then, they spotted a white shadow, causing both of them to run away in fear. At that moment, they hid in a room. Atenna said, "I will protect you," as she moved closer to Koshi. Suddenly, the lights turned on. It turned out Minoru had found them. Koshi realized that the person holding the umbrella they saw was Sarah. The next morning, everyone was getting ready to head back. But Frey was still unsatisfied with this trip. So, they decided to go to the beach. At this point, they had a lot of fun playing together. But only Tsutia felt inferior. So, she just wanted to play alone, while Koshi sat watching Atenna. He was so absorbed that even this girl thought he was a pervert. Tsutia noticed that he wasn't even looking at her. Suddenly, Tsutia was surrounded by some small fish. So, she wanted to get away from there. But she fell into the sea. Koshi saw that Tsutia was in trouble. So, he ran to save her. Luckily, Kiryu managed to pull her up in time. At that moment, Koshi was very worried. But Tsutia was angry at him. Kiryu said that he was the first one to jump into the sea to save her. Tsutia then remembered that Koshi didn't know how to swim. So, she realized that he had been watching over her. At this point, everyone knew that Koshi couldn't swim. Atenna praised him, because he was always watching over Tsutia, and he was the first to notice when she was in trouble. However, Koshi still felt unhappy. So, he wanted to go buy something to drink. Suddenly, Kiryu pressed a cold towel against Tsutia's face. She said that this was something Koshi prepared before going to the beach, proving that Koshi cared about Tsutia a lot, which made Kiryu a bit jealous. Suddenly, Frey asked if Tsutia's hairstyle was hot. So, Tsutia told Kiryu something. It turned out Koshi's first crush was a kindergarten teacher. So, Tsutia wanted to style her hair like hers. At that moment, Koshi was buying drinks, when he suddenly saw Atenna being approached by two boys asking her to hang out. So, Koshi immediately intervened, making Atenna remember that Koshi had also protected her before. After that, he took Atenna's hand and ran away. Suddenly, Koshi noticed that Atenna was no longer having nosebleeds. She said that Koshi was different from other men. So, she always felt safe when she was around him. By the afternoon, when they returned, Tsutia felt closer to everyone. But Koshi was still lost in thought. The next morning, Koshi continued to cook for everyone. But Frey and Minoru noticed that Koshi was acting strangely. He was no longer as lively as he usually was. So, they decided to find Koshi to ask him. After that, Frey invited Koshi to hang out. She took Koshi to her favorite cosplay shop. Frey told him not to worry, because she would also cosplay with him. So, they cosplayed as characters from a popular recent game. Frey's character was a female knight captain, and they were two sisters who were not related by blood, while Koshi's character has feelings for his sister. The older sister viewed their relationship as purely familial. At that moment, they entered a fighting scene together. Frey would ask him a series of questions, forcing Koshi to answer honestly. As the battle began, Frey asked what had happened during the recent trip. So, Koshi shared with her that someone had said they felt very safe when they were with him. But that person only sees him as a younger brother. This made him confused about his feelings lately, and he wanted to be around everyone in the goddess dormitory. Frey saw Koshi in pain. So, she hugged him. Frey apologized for questioning Koshi too much, explaining that her previous straightforward personality had led her to face many failures. But one day, she promised to show everyone her true self. By then, she said, she wouldn't run away anymore, and maybe she'd find a new love. After both of them opened up and shared their true feelings, they returned to the dormitory together. The next morning, Koshi and Tsutia went to the university festival. Suddenly, Frey ran up to greet them. It turned out she was a member of the fashion club, and today she would show Koshi and Tsutia around the festival. First, Frey took them to a mysterious pharmacy, which made Koshi feel something was off. It turned out the mysterious pharmacy belonged to Minoru. She was trying to sell some homemade medicines, so she could earn some pocket money. But whether the medicines were safe, no one knew. Koshi wondered if it was okay for her to sell questionable medicines here. Suddenly, the school's security team appeared. So, Minoru quickly gathered up her medicines and ran off. By accident, one of the bottles fell into Koshi's bag. Then, Frey took them to the occult science club. Unexpectedly, their investigation target was Serene, because they believed she was a mysterious creature. Suddenly, someone announced that Serene had been spotted at a drink stall. So, they rushed off to capture her. Koshi worried that Serene would be taken for experiments. So, he quickly set off to find her. Suddenly, Koshi noticed that the girls around him were hugging and kissing each other, which made him feel like something strange was happening. Koshi saw a bottle of medicine on the ground. He knew it had to be Minoru's bottle of medicine. Suddenly, a girl saw Koshi and found him very familiar. Frey quickly put a wig on Koshi, which left Koshi in shock. It turned out that Frey had also inhaled some of Minoru's potion. So, she couldn't control her actions either. By now, everyone realized that Koshi was a guy dressed as a girl, and they all started to chase him. Even Tsutia wasn't able to escape from the chaos. Fortunately, Sarah-ne appeared just in time. She used her moon energy to purify the entire area, causing everyone to return to normal. Suddenly, Koshi noticed that Sarah-ne had fainted. It turned out that she had exhausted too much of her power, causing her to become extremely energy deprived. Koshi then carried Sarah-ne to the infirmary. He told her that Frey and Tsutia had gone to buy some food for her, and once she ate, she'd feel better soon. But Sarah-ne said that food was only a temporary solution. The most effective way to restore her energy was through a kiss, which made Koshi embarrassed. As Sarah-ne moved closer, about to kiss Koshi, Frey and Tsutia suddenly returned. Thanks to that, Koshi was saved from the awkward situation. Next, they headed to the cafe where Atenna worked, which surprised her when they arrived. Koshi never imagined that Atenna worked at a maid cafe. But she is very clumsy. She accidentally fell onto him. Atenna then said, "I'm sorry, master," which left Koshi flustered, as Atenna seemed like a true maid. At this moment, Atenna was practicing interacting with other men, which made Koshi worried. However, Frey stopped him, explaining that this time Atenna wanted to face her difficulties on her own. One of Atenna's friends noticed that she cared deeply about Koshi, and Atenna wanted to become a good older sister figure. So, her friend advised Atenna to spend more time with Koshi. However, if Atenna went out, the cafe would be short-staffed. Luckily, Frey had found someone to fill in for Atenna. It turned out that Frey had dressed Tsutia up as a maid, which allowed Atenna to go out with Koshi. So, Atenna went outside, still wearing her maid outfit, and Koshi thought the outfit really suited her. They then went to a school's cross-dressing competition. Surprisingly, last year's champion was none other than Kiryu, which shocked both Koshi and Atenna. Koshi realized that both Atenna and the others were captivated by Kiryu's charm. Suddenly, Koshi felt thirsty. So, he drank some water. Accidentally, he drank from a bottle of Minoru's truth-revealing potion. At this moment, Kiryu thanked them for coming to watch her competition. So, she invited them to go through the labyrinth with her. Surprisingly, Koshi eagerly agreed, realizing that this was the effect of the potion, which astonished both Atenna and Kiryu, as it was rare to see Koshi so excited. After that, they explored the labyrinth together, and Koshi was visibly enjoying himself. Once inside, everyone became scared, but Koshi said that he would protect them as they went through this labyrinth. Atenna found Koshi's behavior strange, but she wished that Koshi would always be this bold. So, Kiryu decided he would also become stronger. They will hold Koshi's hand to get out of this labyrinth together. Suddenly, they stumbled, causing Koshi to fall on top of Atenna and Kiryu. Later in the afternoon, Koshi asked Minoru about the potion, but she revealed that it was just plain water, leaving Koshi surprised. He realized that he had been expressing his true feelings all along. Meanwhile, Frey noticed that Tsutia seemed more suited to being the master rather than the maid. At the same time, Sarah-ne was still being pursued by everyone. So, Minoru threw her potion bottle, causing everything to become chaotic. At this moment, Kiryu called home. Koshi realized that Kiryu was having some kind of problem. It turned out Kiryu's dojo was organizing Christmas for the children. So, her family had to give out a lot of gifts. But this year, Kiryu had to do it all by herself. When they understood Kiryu's problem, Atenna and Koshi immediately promised to help her, making Kiryu very happy. The next morning, Koshi was cleaning the bathroom. Unexpectedly, Atenna was taking a bath inside, causing Atenna to run out embarrassed. She accidentally fell on top of Koshi, making her nose bleed. As a result, Atenna couldn't go shopping for gifts with them. So, Koshi said he would take on Atenna's part. Suddenly, Minoru said that Kiryu and Koshi were like a couple on a date, making Kiryu embarrassed. At this point, the two were in the shopping mall, and they bought a lot of sweets. While Kiryu felt like they were on a date, they were standing in front of a large Christmas tree. Around them were many couples. So, Kiryu wanted to get closer to Koshi. She realized they were just like a couple on a date. However, in the eyes of others, they looked just like sisters. Kiryu didn't know what Koshi thought of her. Then, they arrived at the place to dress up as Santa Claus. Kiryu said that normally it would be her father dressing up as Santa. But this year, she would be the one to dress up. Koshi imagined Kiryu with a fake beard. But, Koshi remembered Frey mentioning that she had a very cute Santa outfit. Kiryu said that Atenna would look cuter in such outfits than she would. Because Kiryu only suited dressing up as a boy. Koshi recalled how cool Kiryu looked when she dressed up as a boy during the school festival. However, he thought Kiryu didn't have to only dress as a boy, because she still looked very cute in feminine outfits, making Kiryu embarrassed. Then, they went to ask Frey for advice. So, Frey promised that she would design a very cute Santa outfit for Kiryu. But first, she needed Kiryu's measurements. Koshi was about to leave. But, Frey tied him up, making Koshi blush. So, he tried to run out. The next morning, Koshi once again made Atenna have a nosebleed. So, she couldn't go with them. Luckily, Saranae appeared. Kiryu immediately asked Saranae for help. And she offered Saranae a bag of sweets to bribe her. So, Saranae agreed to help them. After that, all three returned to Kiryu's dojo. At that moment, the children saw Kiryu return, making the children very happy. Suddenly, the children thought Koshi and Saranae were two new students. So, they led both of them to change into martial arts uniforms. Then, Kiryu started teaching martial arts to everyone. It was Koshi's turn to train with Kiryu. But, he was immediately thrown to the ground by Kiryu. Kiryu realized she had been too rough. But, Koshi was already used to it. After the training session ended, Koshi dressed up as a reindeer to hand out gifts to the children. It turned out he had made special badges to give to them. But, the children didn't like the badges, making Koshi feel disappointed. Suddenly, Koshi saw a little girl sitting alone. So, Koshi went to talk to her. It turned out she was the weakest in the dojo, making the girl feel inferior, because she thought she didn't deserve a badge. But, Koshi said he didn't make the badges with the idea of skill in mind. His badges represented effort, and he gave the badge to the little girl, making her very happy. At that moment, Kiryu and Saranae had dressed up as Santa, surprising Koshi, because they were so cute. This boy realized that his sister didn't bother wearing shorts. So, he was beaten by Kiryu. Then, they gave out presents to the children together, making everyone very happy. After giving out presents, the children made Koshi act as a reindeer for Santa to ride, making Kiryu embarrassed. So, Saranae rode the reindeer first. But, Koshi realized that Saranae wasn't wearing anything underneath. So, Koshi quickly ran into the changing room. At night Kiryu thanked Koshi, because Koshi helped her a lot. But, she hadn't prepared a present for Koshi yet. Koshi said it was okay and he put his badge on Kiryu, proving her efforts, making Kiryu blush. When she was about to kiss Koshi, suddenly, Saranae appeared behind. It was already winter. So, Minoru and Frey bought a heater, making Koshi very happy. So, everyone got together sitting on the fireplace. Kiryu was now sitting next to Koshi, making Atenna jealous. Suddenly, Frey put his foot on Atenna's stick, because this was the most favorite game on the fireplace. Minoru and Frey also touched Koshi's legs, making him feel embarrassed. But, Koshi saw that everyone was having fun playing. So, he really enjoyed the atmosphere. Because Koshi's house had burned down, he didn't have a family. But, now they had become his new family. At that moment, Kiryu said that her favorite thing was studying with her younger siblings around the heated table. Koshi realized he had never studied in a group around a heated table before. When Atenna was about to invite Koshi to study with her, Koshi wanted to call Sutiya to study together. After that, Koshi invited Sutiya to the dormitory. But, he forgot that Sutiya couldn't stand the heat. Unexpectedly, Sutiya agreed, on the condition that Koshi had to buy ice cream for her. However, when they returned to the dormitory, they didn't see anyone else there. So, it was just the two of them studying together. While doing homework, Koshi was about to doze off. But, Sutiya had already fallen asleep. He realized this was the allure of the heated table. So, Koshi fell asleep as well. Suddenly, Sutiya felt too hot. Thus, she woke up. Sutiya realized that Koshi was already asleep. So, she turned off the heated table. Suddenly, Sutiya discovered that Koshi hadn't done any of his homework. So, she decided to do it for Koshi. But, Koshi felt too cold. So, his foot accidentally brushed against Sutiya's. Suddenly, Sutiya noticed that Atenna had come back, making Sutiya feel embarrassed. So, she angrily flipped the heated table over. The next morning, Frey had to attend a winter cosplay event. So, she asked Koshi to help her tidy up her room. Although she said the room wasn't too messy, Koshi found it to be very messy. So, Atenna decided to help Koshi. Suddenly, they realized Sarah-Nee's room looked like it was about to explode. And they saw Sarah-Nee climbing out the window. Because her room's door couldn't be opened. When Sarah-Nee climbed down, Koshi ran to catch her. But, he got knocked over by Sarah-Nee. At this moment, they didn't know how to open Sarah-Nee's door. There was even water spilling out of the door. Koshi felt that cleaning up would be very difficult. Luckily, Sutiya arrived. So, she helped them clean Frey's room first. While Sarah-Nee had sealed off her own room, Koshi said that without Sutiya's help, they wouldn't know what to do next. While Atenna was feeling jealous, because Koshi only praised Sutiya. Finally, they finished tidying up Frey's room. After that, they went to Minoru's room. But, they didn't see Minoru anywhere. Suddenly, Koshi discovered a secret door. And when they stepped inside, they got sprayed with water. Then they were dried off. At that moment, Minoru came out and showed them her room. She said that it was very clean inside. So, they didn't need to tidy up. Next was Sarah-Nee's room. But, she was still on the defense. So, Atenna lured Sarah-Nee with a bag of sweets. Taking this opportunity, they opened Sarah-Nee's door. Unexpectedly, it wasn't trash inside. Everything was New Year decorations. Sarah-Nee said that these were memories from the past year. Since Koshi and Atenna had come here, instead of leaving someone like Sarah-Nee behind, everyone cared for her and looked after her. At that moment, Atenna realized they needed to clean the room first. Suddenly, Minoru invited Atenna to drink with her. Atenna realized that this drink was very strong. Just smelling it made her tipsy. While Koshi and Sutiya were trying to clean Sarah-Nee's room, suddenly, he noticed that everyone was drunk. So, they all just wanted to lean on Koshi to sleep. Atenna immediately hugged Koshi. She asked him why he only cared about Sutiya. Atenna wanted Koshi's attention too. Suddenly, Atenna rolled over and fell asleep. Koshi felt something was off. It turned out that Sutiya was angry and hit him. The next morning, Koshi asked everyone if they had any plans for New Year's. Minoru said she was busy with research. So, she would stay in the dormitory. Kiryu said she would also stay, because she had already gone home for Christmas. While Sarah-Nee continued to babble about moon energy. So, she wasn't going anywhere either. At that moment, Atenna said she would also stay, which made Koshi very happy, because he would get to celebrate New Year's with everyone here. A year ago, he was just a beggar. But, now Koshi had the goddess dormitory as his home, and everyone was his family. So, he felt very happy. Thus, Minoru decided to throw a grand year-end party. She told Atenna to go buy ingredients with Koshi. But, Atenna couldn't go because she had something to do. So, Kiryu went with him. It turned out that Atenna wanted to make a New Year's gift for Koshi. At that moment, Koshi and Kiryu entered the supermarket to buy ingredients. Kiryu thought Koshi was amazing, because he was good at cooking. Suddenly, Koshi fainted. At that moment, Atenna had finished the gift for Koshi. Suddenly, Kiryu announced that Koshi was sick, which made everyone very worried. Minoru realized that Koshi had a very high fever, because he usually overworked himself. So, everyone told Koshi to take a rest today. At that moment, they discussed whether Koshi would recover or not, depending on their care. So, Frey cosplayed as a nurse. Kiryu crushed fruits to make juice for him. Suddenly, Sutiya ran over. She was very worried about Koshi. Sutiya noticed that Koshi had a cold. So, she kept using her forehead to check his temperature, making her feel shy and blush. And she ended up falling on top of Koshi. At this moment, Atenna and Minoru walked into the room to take Sutiya outside. And they told Koshi to get better quickly. While he was resting, he saw Frey lying next to him. Fortunately, Atenna came back just in time. At this moment, Kiryu brought Koshi a mixed black fruit juice. But Atenna immediately stopped her. Accidentally, Atenna fell on Koshi's face, causing her shirt to slip down. So, she also ended up with a nosebleed and fainted. In the end, they left to let Koshi rest. Suddenly, Koshi dreamed of his house burning down, which made him wake up startled. He planned to go get some water. Suddenly, he ran into Kiryu, who was doing laundry. So, she wanted to wash the clothes he was wearing. At that moment, Kiryu was about to smell Koshi's clothes. But she realized that this behavior was too perverted. Meanwhile, Atenna and Minoru were cooking for Koshi. But Saranae had already smashed all the eggs. Because the eggs resembled the shape of the moon, Minoru suggested using her special seasoning. This made Atenna worried, fearing that the bottle of medicine would affect Koshi's condition. Suddenly, they dropped the bottle, causing the kitchen to explode. By the afternoon, Koshi's temperature was still very high, making everyone anxious, because it was the end of the year and they couldn't find a doctor. So, everyone would take turns watching over Koshi. But Atenna said she would take care of Koshi, because she hadn't paid enough attention to him. So, she asked everyone to leave Koshi in her care. At that moment, Atenna kept changing the wet cloths for Koshi. Tsutia was also very worried about Koshi. But she had to go back home. After that, Kiryu brought clothes for Koshi to change into. At this moment, Atenna was very tired. But she still had to take care of Koshi. Suddenly, Koshi called Atenna's name. So, Atenna held Koshi's hand and reminisced about their memories together. Atenna then hugged Koshi, helping him gradually drift into sleep. The next morning, Koshi woke up and realized that Atenna had taken care of him all night. At that moment, Atenna also woke up, and she saw that Koshi's fever had subsided, which made her feel relieved. After that, Koshi planned to go outside to clean up. At this moment, Atenna also came to give Koshi a gift, which made him very happy. But today was New Year's Eve. So, Koshi invited Atenna to go shopping with him. Atenna agreed immediately. Suddenly, everyone also wanted to go, because they couldn't let Atenna and Koshi go alone. So, everyone decided to go together. That's it for today's video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to support Oni-chan in the next videos. Thank you all for watching. Love you all.